Well, hey everybody, welcome to the MenoLounge. I'm Julie Gordon-White, CEO of MenoWell Energy and Protein Bars, and you know I love being with you here on Tuesday. Yes, I built this wall this weekend. Am I doing too much? We're so excited about MenoWell and our packaging, so I had some boxes, so I built a wall. Not like a good wall, right? Kind of like art. I can't wait to bring up our guest, Coach Jolinda. I need you today. I personally need you. So I'm hoping, is that a word? You're going to be here for all of our incredible guests today. Speaking with Coach Jolinda, she is an incredible coach for women, all things midlife. She's an author. She has a new book. We're going to talk about her book. We're going to talk about being resilient. Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
Hello. How's the sound? Can you hear me okay?
I can, especially when you were right there, but keep going. There's Special. He's joined us right away. Hi. How are you today?
I'm good. It's super hot here in Barcelona, but
Is it
I'm good.
It's actually cool here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but that's how we are. It's been hot though, but I know you were really hot there.
It's all right. I've got the fan on. So that's why I'm like, I hope they can hear me with the fan, but if the fan has to go, then the fan has to go. So
we can live with the fan.
You've
got that beautiful midlife glow happening. So, okay, we're just going to have to get right to it today because I'm going to be a little selfish with Coach Jolinda. I'm just saying, help me, help the women here with resilience in midlife. Well, first of all, let's talk about your book, and then I'll stop being selfish, and then you can help me because I'm having a day. I need to get your book out right now.
Yeah.
So you wrote a book. Tell us about it.
So my book is Resilience, 10 Ways to Recover from Burnout and Exhaustion. And my publisher asked me to write this book last year. And they said, we think you'd be perfect for this project, but you only have 6 weeks. Can you do it? And I thought, goody, I get to write a book about burnout in 6 weeks without burning out. So I can
you have to practice what you teach. Yes. Thank you, universe, for giving me the perfect container on that. I love it.
Yeah, but I love it because what I didn't expect is it to practical.
I just lost your audio for a second. Maybe it was just me, but I don't want to miss anything that you have to say right when you're showing. So
can you hear me?
You got you now. Yeah.
Okay,
Something.
So I wasn't expecting it to be such a visually attractive book. And I thought, well, that's perfect because if you're struggling with burnout, what you really don't have is a huge capacity to take more on. You need things that are simple, that are actionable. This is meant to be something that you can come back to again and again, that doesn't just stay on your shelf, that, is one more piece of information that you don't actually apply. And it really, addresses the how to support your body, how to support your mind, and how to support your spirit in this process. And because so many of us in midlife are really renegotiating the relationship that we have with all three of those things, and figuring out who am I in this new space when I don't necessarily recognize my body. My mind is also, sometimes we feel betrayed by things like brain fog and, or mood swings, or more serious things like depression, which I, fortunately no longer struggle with because I found the right medication. But for a lot of us, that's new territory. Yeah. And also, our spirit and our purpose, and how can I really feel satisfied at this time of life, because I followed all of the rules and all the things that people told me would make me happy, and yet here I am still disconnected from my purpose, or just not wanting to devote my time and energy to things that I used to think would fulfill me. So it's really a journey in midlife as it is, but even more so if you're struggling with chronic stress and burnout. So
which most women are, right? In midlife.
Which most women are,
cortisol, all the things that make us, it really just amplify our menopause, perimenopausal symptoms when we're stressed
Absolutely.
out and exhausted. And
Yeah.
I find that too. I talk to a lot of women and even experience myself that it's almost like the exhaustion is cumulative. We
Yes.
get used to operating at a certain pace, and then when you
Yes.
actually pause for a minute, you feel the weight of all of the things that you've done, the energy
Yes.
that you carry, other people's stuff, energy, and not only just
Absolutely.
stuff,
Yes.
energy.
Yeah.
It can be so heavy. So
Yeah. Well,
being, go ahead.
and
Yeah.
as women, we're taught from a very early age how to change our bodies, but very few of us are taught how to actually support our bodies. And we overextend ourselves so much in our 30s and early 40s, not realizing that we have this hormonal buffer that we definitely lose in perimenopause.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so
Something that was a layer that was protecting us from the emotional, from the physical. All of a sudden we're exposed, we're there.
yeah, and
Which
we've
is an
all
opportunity. Yeah.
we've always had to take care of ourselves, but in perimenopause we definitely need to learn how to take care of ourselves in new ways.
Yeah.
And if your resources or your reserves, I should say, are already low, which is the case when you're burnt out,
Right.
then learning how to take care of yourself can also feel incredibly overwhelming. So
Yeah,
that's why
it
I
can feel
tried to
like one
keep it
more thing
simple.
to add on the list, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, so can I be a little selfish now? Excuse
I
me, can I have some
would love for
coaching?
you to be selfish, Julie. I would love for you to be selfish.
I'm just going to ask for what I need today, and hopefully it's going to help somebody else, because I know you
Yeah.
have some tips to share to help us all navigate through and be more resilient in midlife. But I'm just going to personalize them a little bit, as we've gone through this huge rebrand, and it's been a really big, heavy lifting thing to
Of
do.
course. Yeah.
And I just realized, even though I meditate, I work out, it's kind of stuck in my body a little bit. I'm just going to be super transparent. The
Yeah.
weight of that,
Yeah.
it's been a really amazing and intense year. And so, and I consider myself very resilient, resourceful.
Yes.
And I
Because
still
you
feel like,
are.
I can't wait till Dr. Jolinda comes on today, Coach Jolinda. So I'm just gonna put it out there.
My mom is Dr. Johnson. I'm not a
Okay.
doctor, but my mom.
I just
yes.
elevated you.
You just
Coach.
elevated me.
Yes. Today you are my doctor. So,
yeah.
So yes, let's talk about that. Just, I'm going to give that as a framework, and I'm just, because I need it, but I hope somebody else here can benefit from that. When you just realize you've been going hard and you're passionate, you're committed, or maybe you aren't, but you're doing something, and all of a sudden you start to feel the impact of that burnout. And doesn't mean you don't want to do it. It just means like, oh, your body's like, you need to take a break here, sis. So help us out. Help me out.
I think you just landed on something really important, Julie, which is, we have to, our body always knows.
Yeah.
So if your body is sending you signals that it needs to slow down, which, is very normal after going through the big push of a rebranding, and your body saying, I'm tired, I need to rest, then, absolutely, we should be relying on movement, for example, / exercise. But you might need to, instead of doing, pushing yourself really hard, go to more restorative practices like yin yoga or tai chi or qigong. Qigong, for example, is my favorite for getting that energy moving again. We might need to reduce the amount of time that we're exercising, where, if our normal is 45 minutes, maybe we need to experiment with, what if I just do, 10 minutes of strength training, and then I take a walk, for example.
That would be a good idea, not just going at it with the weights, trying to suck. I can get rid of this.
A lot of times adjustments need to be made, and if you are doing your regular exercise and you're feeling depleted afterwards instead of energized, that, for me, that's always a test. Are you feeling energized or depleted? And if you're feeling depleted, even if in your mind you're doing the normal amount or less than you usually would, your body is saying, hey, I need something different. And so we have to be, a big part of resiliency is being willing to meet our bodies where they are, being willing to change, and modify
Yeah.
things. You know, walking, we know is great in midlife, but if you can combine that with spending time in nature, also incredibly restorative, because that's going to lower your stress response even more. You know, it's all about bringing yourself back to baseline. And so many of us have, you know, especially high achievers, we're used to being overextended. We're used to pushing ourselves to the max. And if we're not doing 110%, then it feels like we're failing. So slowing down can feel really confronting.
You know,
taking time
that
to
is a
rest
really
can feel really
good
confronting.
point. Because I've noticed, and I didn't have this experience in the past, though, that when I actually do slow down for a minute, after about an hour, I start to feel anxious, like I should be doing something. And I used to not have that.
Yeah, but that's a totally normal experience. That's why, you know, some people will say, oh, I tried to meditate and I can't. And I'll say, well, can you do something physical before meditating? A lot of us need to, you know, and even if it's just shaking, you know, practices like shaking, stomping, doing, you know, getting the energy out here to the side. A lot of it is just you landed on it, you know, the stuck energy from when we had to process things so quickly that we just, you know, think of it like, okay, I stuffed it in because it was too much. You know, I stuffed it down. And I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later because I've got to keep things moving. So many of us have been in that mode for decades. And so it's normal to feel this heaviness. And when we start exercising, even, we can sometimes feel that past pain, that past sadness, that grief come up. And so we have to allow ourselves space. So what's something, you know, when I talk to my clients, it's what's something that feels like replenishing. You know, when it comes to resting is not binging on Netflix or doom scrolling on
more
your phone.
input.
You know, you know what is actually going to feel replenishing. And oftentimes, to replenish ourselves, we need to be selfish. We need to say, me first. This is my time. I'm not going to take anything more on. I'm not going to take any more on. I'm not going to prove myself by how much I can do. And that's a real pattern, circuit breaker for it's like I've never done that before.
Right, like, oh geez. I used to have to convince myself, and I think I need to get back to this, is that I need to walk my talk a little bit more right now. But, you know, there's certain times in your life where you do need to make that sort of Herculean effort, but then on the backside of it, recognizing that and reminding myself and others that, especially if you're an entrepreneur, that rest is part of the business plan. So, because that's where you optimize, but sometimes I forget my own advice, you know, so.
Yeah, well, you know, in the book, I talk about Sandra Dalton Smith's 7 types of rest. And, you know, rest isn't just, you know, lying on the sofa in meditation, although that's wonderful. Rest for you might be going to a museum, you know, and allowing yourself to be, you know, stimulated by, you know, beautiful art, or taking in a concert, or enjoying a delicious meal, and, you know, that someone else prepared for you, you know. Because I'm a single mother and an entrepreneur as well, you know, sometimes I will just treat myself to things that other people can do for me because I can't.
That's huge.
Take myself out to dinner because it's nice to have someone else do something for me.
Right. Love that.
Even though I think, you know, it's also important to recognize that just because you can doesn't mean that you have to. You know, we get to choose at this stage of life the things that we're available for. And I would love to ask you, Julie, like, because you brought it up, what would walking your talk in this moment look like? You know, over the next week, what would walking your talk look like?
I did put myself in the hot seat, didn't I?
When you invite a coach on.
That's what I say to my kids. Well, you invited me to this party, so don't get upset when I give you my opinion. Okay, fair enough. I actually have a built-in recovery this week. I'm going to go visit my daughter out of state. And so my heart is already starting to just calm down because I'm so excited. I would say I need to sniff her at least every 3 months, like, oh, my grown-up daughter, because, I miss her so much from the day to day. And so I have that. But other than going to see Georgia, making time for friends, that's what I found that I will talk myself out of. Like, I can't do that. I can't go see Barbie because I have to finish a deck for something or this or that. And I'm cheating myself. And that is so restorative to be with my girlfriends. And I have to make more time for that right now. And I've sort of fallen into a bad habit right now of not making more time other than FaceTime or something like that. And that's not really enough for me to restore myself. So
no, but thank you for bringing it up, Julie, because it's something that I didn't talk a lot about in the book, but the power of connection and community, and especially when it comes to resilience. This year I have really just been so grateful for the relationships that I have here in Barcelona, and we need each other. There's a professor at Harvard named Arthur C. Brooks, and I saw he wrote a great book called From Strength to Strength, which I recommend to anyone who's in midlife, who's
cool.
Right. But I saw a clip of his talking about how so many of us are, scrolling or we love social media, of course, but it's like eating junk food and expecting to be nourished, because as human beings, we need the eye contact, we need the physical touch. That's our connection. So if you are, in the name of getting more done, depriving yourself of that, physical family time, friend time, face to face, not on the other side of a screen. As much as I love that I get to connect with you, Julie, on the other side of my phone, with you in California and me in Spain, it's so important, especially in midlife, to call in your community and to, we only need a few friendships to feel fulfilled. But those friendships have to go deep. So instead of scattering your time here, there, and everywhere, and keeping it really superficial, like, think of the 3 to 5 people that you really want to come back to again and again and show up for and invest your time in. And I found that the more time I invest in other people, the more time they invest in me. And we need each other as human beings, as women in midlife. We need each other. We do.
And our girlfriends. I mean, my husband is here. So he counts. He does. Dave, are you watching this? He totally counts. We definitely carve out our time for each other, and he really helps me when he notices, hey, you're looking a little, he doesn't use the word burnout, but hey, you're looking a little frazzled over there. What, do you need something? He definitely will notice, especially, but girlfriends matter. Girlfriends are a little different. So I love that. All right, let's talk. Go ahead. I want to hear you. I know you have tips. So give us, besides me hogging up the entire call today for my own personal gain.
Absolutely not. No, but
I'd love to hear some of your best goodies that you would like to share with everyone.
Well, before I share goodies, Julie, do you mind if I just ask you quickly?
I'm still in the hot seat. Okay, go ahead.
Well, because I know this will help people, but what do you recognize as, I need to roll things back? This isn't a state that I want to continue to be in. Like, how does your body talk to you, or what do you notice that catches your attention?
I get a tightness right back here in my back, like upper, right behind my shoulder blade, and I have this feeling like I need to get a massage. I need to get a massage. Like that, that's the first response. I need to get, and do I get a massage? No, I just say I need to get one. But that's where I carry my tension.
Yeah.
The other thing is that happens is waking up in the middle of the night. So I say that,
Mm-hmm.
I get called to a
Yeah.
middle of the night board of directors meeting, and,
Yep.
I called myself. So
Yeah.
those are the two
Absolutely.
indicators for me that I'm wound too tightly and I'm
Yeah.
not restoring myself. I'm not taking
Yeah.
good care of myself. If I'm waking up too many
Yeah.
nights in a row, sometimes it's okay, but not on the regular.
Yeah.
And if I'm carrying around a knot. So
Yeah, and those are two great indicators. And so if you're someone who notices that you are waking up, usually it's around 3 a.m. That's like the magic hour. If you are going to bed feeling wired but tired, if you are needing to rely on caffeine to feel energized, and alcohol to wind down.
yeah,
These are all things that are really normalized, but, we also know that coffee in itself, like if you have a cup of coffee during perimenopause, can actually have positive effects. So it's not about
right.
not drinking any caffeine, but
Earlier
if
in the day.
earlier in the
Yeah,
day, before noon,
right.
and it can actually, depending on how you react to it, can be helpful. But if you are, relying on, 2, 3 cups before you even feel like you're awake, these are things that are normalized so much in our
Right.
society, but that really are not normal for the body. And so
Not so good.
it's,
Yeah.
so
Well,
the
fortunately
first
for
thing,
me, the food thing, I've got that part
you have
down.
that
Thank
down.
goodness,
Yes, I know you
otherwise
do. I
I'd
know
really
you
be a
do.
wreck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But,
really good food. And for me, alcohol does not manage well in my system. So if
yeah,
I go out with friends sometimes,
yeah,
then a half a glass is perfect and
yeah,
I really enjoy it. But other than that, not so much for wine or anything because it doesn't
yeah,
work for me.
yeah.
But
But that's, talking about tips for other people listening,
yeah,
because I know that you've got the food thing, but
but a
for
lot
a lot of
of
us,
us, it's hard. Yeah.
we don't make the connection between how we're feeling and what we're eating,
Mm-hmm.
because because we see, or either one, we've used things like sugar and caffeine and alcohol as crutches for so long that
Right.
we don't even, it's hard to be honest with ourselves that, oh,
Right.
this could be, I just had a client yesterday who was saying, I just feel so exhausted after lunch. And I said, well, what are you having for lunch?
Mm-hmm.
And she was, very carb heavy, refined carb heavy, and also, sugar. So in other words, like pasta and dessert. It's like,
Right.
well, because you're 50 now, that's not going to be a combination that's going to give you energy. It's actually
Right.
going to make you, you've got the
Tired.
physical component that,
Right.
what's happening with insulin, and we're becoming less sensitive to insulin. And um, it's interesting because a lot of the things that will happen at any age, as a result of chronic stress, they're just magnified in perimenopause. So the
Right.
changes to insulin, the changes to cortisol, the changes to, estrogen, progesterone. So we really
Right.
have to figure out, okay, how can I nourish my body? Balance blood sugar, for example, making sure we have protein, fat, and fiber
Right.
with our meals and snacks. And usually my clients have a big issue with protein, not getting enough protein.
Most women struggle to get enough protein.
Yeah, and
And we don't
food.
have to have, I just want to, we're in,
Mm,
unless you want to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to
yeah,
have tons and tons and tons, but we do to maintain our muscle so
absolutely.
we can stay
Yeah,
strong and mobile and all those good things. So yeah, it
yeah,
does absolutely matter. So
yeah. So
we
that
need to
would
eat
be
more.
one. My first basic tip is balance your blood sugar, because that's going to support your body, support your moods, and can get those cravings under control as well.
Right.
So the golden rule is protein, fat, and fiber. Prioritize rest and sleep, but starting with sleep, what is your nighttime routine?
Yeah.
And if you're struggling with night sweats, for example, that's one thing. But what is it that you're doing to prepare yourself for bed?
Mhm.
Because a lot of us go from watching something on TV and crashing, and
Or our
to
phones,
or our
right
phones,
up, right.
exactly, and we don't give ourselves that space at the end of the day, to
Right.
journal, to read, to dim the lights, to practice, self-care with a hand massage, or everyone has their own definition of luxurious skincare routine.
Yeah.
What makes
I don't want to skip over what you just said about a hand massage, because I've learned that technique recently, and of course I forgot about it already, but just even, touching your own, if everyone who's listening, you want to touch your own palm, your fingers onto your palm.
Yeah,
you can rub deeply, you can rub lightly. It's just such a beautiful way to bring back consciousness and presence to yourself. I found it very restorative, and you just zoom past that. So I want to I forgot about that. That's so good. And it's right there. And here's the other thing. You can do it in a meeting, when nobody's going to think, what is she doing over there? And you can calm yourself down right away. So I just wanted to, you said something beautiful. I didn't want to miss that.
But thank you for mentioning, you can do it in a meeting, because something else that you can do anywhere, which is very basic, is breathing. So many of us forget to breathe, and that's something you can incorporate, piggybacking on the sleep routine discussion. Breathing in for 4, holding for 7, breathing out for 8, or doing box breathing 4-4-4. It's, or if you don't want to deal with the patterns, just think, how can I slow down my breath?
Right.
How can I slow things down, direct it towards my belly, give myself a minute of just really mindful breathing, and be present in this moment, because so many of us are not present. That's what I noticed most.
And don't breathe deeply. I had to learn, I didn't realize until I was in my 50s that I really wasn't taking a deep breath. I had asthma as a kid, so I was just in natural sort of a more shallow breather. And boy, are you cheating yourself when you don't have deep breathing, practice. So using belly breathing, because we're also, taught, keep your tummy tucked in, right? Squeeze, suck in that stomach. So who wants to let their belly out?
All of the, it's like there's so much emphasis on the meno belly and the belly, and but
that little pouch, I'm grateful for that pouch. That propped out 3 kids. I'm keeping all those stretch marks down there. However, got to keep it in check, at some point for our health. But belly breathing and deep breathing, and then with a long exhale, actually goes a long way to calming us down. I'm so glad you're reminding me all these things that I'm not practicing right now.
Yeah, it's taking you breathing in for 4, and then breathing out for 12, for example. Can be really, because we want to, again, come back to baseline, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and deep breathing, belly breathing is a really easy way to do that. Another thing, so we've got, basic diet tip: protein, fat, and fiber, balancing blood sugar. We have sleep, also foundational, because if you're not sleeping well, then you're going to make totally different choices for yourself the next day. So we've got to get, sleep. We talked about rest earlier and some of the different ways for that. Breathing. These are all ways to support the physical body. But we also have to look at how are we supporting ourselves emotionally. For a lot of us, burnout is a result of a lack of boundaries, either boundaries with other people or boundaries that we need to set with ourselves. We talk so much about setting boundaries with others, but a lot of us need to say no to some of the habits that are not supporting us, and including saying yes to everything,
right?
Including being available for everything, not wanting to make that space that we need. And there are times when I cannot take time for myself because I'm a single mom, who does not have, my son right now is going through a stage where he really feels like his father's not available for him. And so there are times when I have to kind of push myself a bit, and not take rest exactly at that moment that I need to. So I give these tips with sensitivity to that.
Right.
because
Well, and we teach what we need to know, right?
yeah,
It helps us, and while we
yeah,
help others. So I think,
yeah.
yeah.
And our capacity for rest really has to do with how supported we are,
Hmm.
our access to
Yeah.
support.
You have to
But
feel safe to rest in some ways.
absolutely,
Feel that it's okay to
yeah,
pause, to take a
yeah,
break, whether that's emotionally, financially, physically, because you are in a state of vulnerability in some ways when you're resting.
absolutely, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And a lot of us didn't have that modeled to us
Hmm.
because we were raised by women who did not have a positive relationship with rest, and
Yeah.
or who didn't have that opportunity. Um, so we have to really do that ourselves. But the boundary work, super important. Saying no to things that and what I find is people often think, well, if it's fun, then I shouldn't be stressed by it.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works. Um,
Especially if you're the planner of the fun. That's what I find sometimes. It's only fun if I'm invited. Right now in my life, if I have to plan the fun thing, it's not fun for me. Not just me,
yeah,
but other people get a lot of enjoyment out of planning fun things like that. But
yeah.
it's
I mean,
stressful.
I said no to myself this year and I didn't go on any kind of big vacation because I recognized that really what I needed was to spend the 2 weeks here. And I
Mm.
mean, I live in a city that people come to
Come
for
to, right, like
for
me. Yeah,
Barcelona,
yeah.
but having those 2 weeks where my son was gone and just being able to do things on my own time and not push myself and not be in a new environment and take care of some of the things that I needed to feel better about my home environment and things like that. And like that was my ideal vacation.
Yeah.
Connecting with friends, etc., all of those things. So sometimes we have to just be honest, coming back to the body, creating that space to really feel into how our body is talking to us, and being willing to receive that information because it's not always
Oh, then
what
there's
the
that.
mind wants to accept.
Like I see it, I hear it, but I'm not taking it in, right?
Yeah,
I'm not receiving.
exactly.
Huge part.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so boundary work really key, and self-compassion, because
Mm.
a lot of us are used to pushing ourselves more and more because we just don't know how to be kind to ourselves if we're doing less.
Hmm.
We don't know how to say, well, actually, this is a normal part of midlife, of peri-menopause, of not being able to do as much as I used to. And anyone who has taken on all of these responsibilities would be feeling stretched really thin, and
Yeah.
it's okay for me to take a break. May I feel safe taking a break? May I feel the ease in slowing down? And we also have to remember that if we're going through burnout, if we take the steps to reverse it, it is a temporary situation. And even though sometimes burnout can result in a chronic disease, um, like Hashimoto's, for example. Hashimoto's is often the
Right.
result of hormonal burnout. I have ankylosing spondylitis, which I know
Mm.
is very related to the chronic stress that I experienced in my 20s and 30s and not listening to my body signals. But even so, I don't have very many flares anymore, and the intensity of that was temporary. It's not, life is always changing. And I think some of us feel like, oh, I'm always going to feel this way, um, and that's really the only thing we can count on in life, is that it's going to change.
Right.
And so not losing, holding tight to that hope, releasing the timeline, but holding tight to the hope that if I decide to make different choices and I lean into all the tools that are available to me and all of the things that I've learned from listening to Julie and Jolinda talking about her book.
I'm the patient today. I'm the coachee today. Today
Yeah,
you are the coach. So
yes,
listen
please.
to
And
Coach Jolinda today. I'm over here whining.
yeah, and you are also a phenomenal coach, Julie. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, just reminders, for you. But some of it is brand new for people, brand
Yeah,
new
but
information.
we never hear these things enough. I don't care how long you've been a coach
Yeah.
or done this kind of work, or if it's new to you, because we're different, just like you said, we
Yeah.
change. And so
Yeah.
the way you heard it a year ago is going to be different
Mhm.
than the way you hear it today or right now, depending on
Yeah.
where you are in your life. So it's always good. It's
Yeah.
always juicy, always relevant. So I
Yeah.
can't believe I don't have your book. I'm going to get it because I keep a stack of books next to my chill chair over there that I just like to flip through, some mornings, like
Mm.
what you just pick up one and go to a page and see what the message is there for me today. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to have your
Yeah.
book next to my chill chair. So,
Well, one of my favorite quotes from my book is,
mm,
in the introduction, and so these are my words. We constantly throw ourselves into choppy waters, hoping we won't drown, while at the same time forgetting that we never learned how to swim.
ah,
And
wow.
that is the situation that a lot of us find
Mm,
ourselves in, because
mm,
we're constantly saying, okay, I should be able to do this. I should be able to handle this. But we never learn actually how to support ourselves um, in a sustainable way. And so the good thing is, it's just about learning new skills.
mm.
And when we have
I love
new
that.
skills, we can get different results. Yeah,
It's available to us.
absolutely. Yeah, and I have to say that your MenoWell bars are one of those tools for when you are running short on time and you need to fuel yourself with something that is going to actually support your body in midlife and give you that energy and not take it away. Um, and
Yeah.
I saw your interview with Stacy London. I think it was last week, and
Yeah.
about a talking stick.
Yeah.
And so when someone sees you eating, a MenoWell bar, it's like, yeah, this is how I'm taking care of myself today. You know,
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I love signals in my life. I don't know if
mm,
you have little artifacts, things, I have things on my desk that remind me, do this, drink
yeah,
water, be a
absolutely.
badass, whatever the thing is. And so the bars, I really have loved how they've become a talking stick, a signal to women, to themselves and to other women, to
Yeah,
take care of themselves, to eat foods and, really provide nutrients to our bodies that we need and deserve, especially
absolutely.
now. So
Yeah,
thanks
and
for saying that.
when you pair those things with a simple affirmation, like because I'm worth it.
Yeah.
We're just again reinforcing all of those pathways, those neural pathways that say, yes, I'm doing this because I care about myself. I matter.
Right.
My
Am,
health matters. Yes,
I am worth it. Right.
I am
Yes.
worth it because
I
I'm
am
worth
worth
it. And that's what I would say. If water. So many of us are dehydrated. We don't even realize how dehydrated we are. Every time I take a sip of water, because I'm worth it.
it. Mm. Take a sip. I wish I had one. Now you're exposing me. I don't have any water. I only have coffee. Natasha's here. She said, oh, thanks. She said she eats the bars when she's traveling, and you need it. Natasha, Fashionalities needs a chill chair. Every
Yeah.
woman needs a chill chair.
Every
That's
woman
what
needs a
I'm
chill
saying.
chair.
It
Yeah,
has big
100%.
fluffy stuff in it, at IKEA. Those fluffy little rugs you can get at IKEA. It has 2 of those in it and pillows and an ottoman
I
key.
Yes. Well, what though? We so often reach for things that are harmful because we're looking for comfort,
Yeah.
right? And if you have a chill chair, for example, a space, we all need a space in our
Mm-hmm.
homes
Mm-hmm.
that feel like a warm embrace, that feel like it's our space where we can just go and process and exhale. So if you are trying to, for example, you know the benefits of meditation, but you never seem to get around to it. If you pair that practice with a specific space in which to do it, it's going to
Right.
be, it's going to become a habit. And then celebrate yourself for that. Then
Yes.
it's even more likely to become a habit. And so if you feel like, I've got all this information swirling around and I've read books, but I keep coming back to these old things, and think about, well, if you want to do something new, create an intentional space, make it easy and non-threatening, start small, and celebrate yourself for it. The celebration is so important if we want it to become a habit. And you're worthy of celebrating yourself for taking a break, for taking rest, for making yourself a priority in your own life.
I feel like I just had a wonderful session. Thank you so much. Let me know where I should Venmo the money to. I was going to say send you a check, but that just made me sound really old. So Venmo. Thank you.
I love spending time with you, Julie. So
same. We just need to try to find more time. That's all. More time. You're just such a delicious human and have so many wonderful things to share, and your way of being in the world and helping women in midlife. We need more of your energy and your expertise and gifts, because it can be so hard. It can be so challenging. You know, I'm like the Susie happy person over here, you know, not that Susie is not on, I don't know why I said Susie, super positive Susie, that's me, you know, in general.
Joyful Julie.
Joyful Julie. Oh, thank you. Shoot, I got that. That's my new hashtag. Hashtag joyful Julie.
Yeah.
Because I am a joyful person most of the time, but just being 1,000% real, I'm just noticing the weight, and that's probably just burnout from you know, making some big moves. Even in passion and joy, it can still feel like a lot. So thank you for being you and indulging me in a coaching session today. And hopefully everybody got some goodness. And hold up your books. Everyone can see it again. And on Amazon, right? Is that the best place to grab it?
Yes, absolutely. And the link is in my profile on Instagram. So it's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for allowing me this time to talk about my book, to talk about resilience, some of the practical things that we can all do to navigate this stage of life more easily.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for your gifts in the world. Sending big love all the way from California, from San Francisco to you in Barcelona and your beautiful son. And don't get too, you know, stay cool for the rest of the summer if you can.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's all good.
I'm blessed to be in a place that has sunny weather.
Yes, so. I'll say. Love it. Well, until next time, everybody, be well, MenoWell, and thanks for being here on the MenoLounge every Tuesday. See you again soon, Coach Jolinda. Love you.
See you, Julie. Bye.
Bye.